Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's start. Now this the Taylor's theorem. So obviously you have come to know about this in the earlier class also. Maybe you have got this one. If not, then it's also just to see here what is the Taylor's theorem. So Taylor's theorem is what? If a function fz is analytic, where analytic inside a circle C with center at A. What? Inside, not on the circle C. If this is a circle, if this is your circle, say this is your circle C. So the function fz is what? Analytic inside the circle. Inside the circle. Okay. Which center, say center of this circle is say what? A. Center is what? Say A. Then for all z inside C, then whatever be the uh, point inside the circle C is there. So for all values of z inside this circle, the value of fz is what? F of A plus f dash, means first order derivative of f at z equal to A into z minus A, plus second order derivative of fz at z equal to A factorial 2 into z minus A whole square plus dot 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 up to infinity. So next term will be what? Third order derivative of f at z equal to A factorial 3 z minus A whole cube. Like this it will go on. So it's an infinite series. Okay. So if you want to write this one in a summation form, so what? Summation n values goes from 0 to infinity, nth derivative of f at z equal to A factorial n z minus A to the power n. Now see, just you put n equal to 0. So factorial 0 is what?
Sir,
1. Yes.
sir, syllabus should दिखाई सबने.
Syllabus देखे इसने. Wait. Okay. So if you see, so what I was trying to say, if a function fz is analytic in a circle C, inside the circle C with center at say this is the center. Say the center is what? Denoting it by what? A. So if a function fz is analytic inside a circle C with center at A, then for all values of z inside the circle C, so what it says that if a function fz is analytic inside a circle C with center at A, then the expansion of the function fz will be of this form. What is the form? The value of fz at z equal to A plus first order derivative of fz at z equal to A into z minus A plus second order derivative of fz at z equal to A factorial divided by factorial 2 into z minus A whole square, plus next term will be what? Third order derivative of fz at z equal to A divided by factorial 3 into z minus A whole cube plus dot 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 up to infinity. So if you want, so this is the infinite series. So if you want to write this expression in a summation form, so what? Summation n from 0 to infinity, because it's an infinite series, and then nth order derivative of fz at z equal to A divided by factorial n into z minus A whole to the power n. Now see, just to go on putting the values of n, you will get each and every term here. So see here, first n equal to 0. So factorial 0 is what? 1. N is 0, that means f 0. 0 means what? That means f it is. Okay. That means f of A. Z minus A to the power 0, that is what? 1. So this is your f of A. Next you put n equal to 1. N equal to 1 means what? Factorial 1 is 1. This is what? 1 means first order derivative of f at z equal to A into z minus A to the power 1. So this is the second term. Similarly, if you put n equal to 2, so it will be what? Second order derivative of fz at z equal to A by factorial 2 into z minus a whole square. So this is the third term. Like this, you will get all the terms. So this expression you need to remember, this expression. So this will valid. This will valid only if the function is analytic inside the circle C, inside the circle, inside this circle, not on the boundary. Okay, this is valid only. So if the function is analytic inside the circle C with center at this point, then only it will be valid. Otherwise not. Next is your Lorentz theorem. So Lorentz theorem is what? This is the extension of your Taylor's one. So what is that one? It says that if fz is analytic inside and on the boundary of the region R, okay? If the function is fz is analytic inside and on the boundary of the region R, and that region R, this region R is bounded by two concentric circles. What do you mean by concentric circles? That means you have two circles with same center. Okay, that is called concentric circle. If you have two circles with same center, then that circles are called concentric circles. So this region is what? This region is bounded by two concentric circles C1 and C2 with center at A. Both the circle have same center respectively and respective radii. So both the circles have their own radii, say R1 and R2. So say I am considering R1 is greater than R2. That means first circle, this is the bigger circle, and this is the smaller one. Okay, so now see here, there are two circles. Outer side, this is the bigger one, C1, and inside this is C2. So the region R is what? This is the region R. This is the region R, bounded by two concentric circle with center at what? Center at Z equal to A. R1 is the radius of the circle C1 and R2 is the radius of the what? Circle C2. Okay. So now here, so what is Fz? Fz is your n equal to 0 to infinity, the expansion of that Fz, n equal to 0 to infinity a suffix n z minus a to the power n plus summation n is equal to 1 to infinity a suffix minus n divided by z minus a to the power n. So this expression you need to remember. Okay. Now what is an and what is a minus n? We'll be discussing in the later part. So what is an and what is a minus n? Okay, so what is an? What is n? An is equal to what? 1 upon twice pi I. Line integral. This integration sign, and then this circle means what? This is a line integral, and this integral is what? Over the circle C1. That is what? F of W divided by W minus A whole to the power n plus 1 dW. So this expression also you need to remember. And this A suffix minus n is equal to what? 1 upon twice pi I. This is the line integral over the circle C2, f of W divided by W minus A to the power minus n plus 1 dW. Here n will be start from where? Here n will in this n will start from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. And in this case, the n will start from 1. N will start from what? From 1. 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. So this both the expression, this expression and this expression, both you need to remember. And the expansion, this one. Fz equal to what? N equal to 0 to infinity a n z minus a to the power n plus this is summation n equal to 1 to infinity a minus n z minus a to the power n. So this expression, the expansion of Fz by Lorentz theorem, You need to remember. And what is the an and what is a minus n? That is given there. Okay, this is, so this expression, until and unless you remember this expression, you won't be able to what expand that one. If some problem is given and then if you need to expand using Lorentz theorem, so you need to know what is that the expansion, the expression for the expansion of fz by Lorentz theorem or by Taylor's theorem. You need to know that one. Then only you can do that problem, or you can expand that problem. Is that clear? So now, did you got the
Yes, sir.
difference? Did you got the difference between Taylor's and Lorentz? Where you need to use the Taylor's and where you need to use the Lorentz? Taylor's is what you have a region and that or a circle, and the function is analytic at all points of the inside the circle or inside that circle, not on the boundary. But in Lorentz, what here the region is bounded by two concentric circles. There was only one circle, but here there are two circles, and the region is what bounded by two concentric circles. And the function is what analytic inside and on the boundary here. In Taylor's, the function is not analytic on the boundary. The function is analytic what inside the circle. But in Lorentz, what the function is analytic inside and also on the boundary point also. That's the difference here. So just one, you need to remember the expressions. Now see here, some problem we'll do here. So the first problem is what? Prove that the function, this function, sine of c is some constant c into z plus 1 upon z can be expanded in series of the type this one, in which the coefficient both zn and z to the power minus n are of the form of what? This form. Okay. Now see, if you see this expression, so this expression signifies which theorem? This expression signifies which theorem? Which theorem you need to apply here? Taylor's or Lorentz? Yes. Which theorem you need to apply here? Which expansion?
Sir, Lawrence.
Yeah, you need to, because see here, the expansion of Lorentz is here. A and z minus whatever it may be, z minus. So z minus a is what here? 0. Z minus a whole to the power n, no? A is 0. That means center is at what? Origin. So here center is what? At origin in this problem. The center you have to consider at origin. So you need to use what? Lorentz theorem. Okay, let's see here. So what I have done here, so since we are using Lorentz theorem, so in Lorentz theorem that already you have know that what? The region is what? The region is bounded by two concentric circles. The region is what? Bounded by two concentric circles. So since the region is bounded by two concentric circles, so I am considering this outer circle as C1 and this inner circle as C2 with center at, this is A, I have given A, but what is the value of A? Because just you see, if you see this expression, if you see this expansion, the expansion tells us what will be the origin. The form of the Lorentz expansion is what? A suffix n z. Here it is what? Here it is z minus a whole to the power what? Whole to the power n. So now here it is what? Here it is simply z to the power n. That means what is the value of a here? The value of a is 0. That means a was the what? Center of the circle. And here a value is what? 0. That means the center will be what? Center will be at origin. Center is what? At origin. That means a is equal to 0. Is that clear? And here I have considered what? The greater circle. That means the circle C1 whose radius is capital R and the smaller circle C2, whose radius I have considered as smaller. So here Fz is given. This is analytic except at z equal to 0. Obviously, why? Can you tell me why the function is not analytic at z equal to 0? Because now see the function. What is the function? Sine of c into z plus 1 upon z. Now if you differentiate this one, and then if you put z is equal to what? A, and A means what? A means what? 0. That means if you put z equal to 0, then what will happen? What will happen? If you put z equal to 0, then the value of this differentiation, if you find, just simple, what you'll do? Just you find out the first order derivative of what? Just you find out the first order derivative of this one. Just you find out the first order derivative of this one, and then you put z equal to 0. You will find the value is what? Does not exist. It will be infinity. The value will be what? Infinity. The value does not exist. But other than z equal to 0, if you put any value, the value of this differentiation of this at each and every point except at z equal to 0, at all points it will exist. But at z equal to 0, this becomes infinity. So that's why, and that was the what? Definition of analytic function. If a function is analytic, then it will be what? It will be, then it's then the derivative of the function at each and every point. Yes, who is shouting? Please mute yourself. So if you put z equal to 0, the differentiation of this function at z equal to 0 does not exist. And so this function is not analytic at the point z equal to 0. But except z equal to 0, any point you take from here, any point take from the here, at each and every point, the function is what? Analytic. Okay, so that's what I have written here. So here fz is what? Analytic except at z equal to 0. Now fz is analytic. Now see here, if you see this region, now tell me the z equal to 0, where it lies. The point z equal to 0, where it lies. Z equal to 0, what is that one? That is your center. And center is what? Lying inside the circle C2. And this is the center for what? But for both the circles, C1 and C2. And in Lorentz theorem, what? Which region you need to consider? You need to consider the region bounded by the two circles. So you are taking which region? You are taking this region. You are taking this region. Okay, not this region. You are considering this region because that is the Lorentz theorem. Okay, so obviously the z equal to 0 is not coming in our region, and already you come to know that the function is not analytic at the point z equal to 0. If z equal to 0 lies within our region, then you can't apply that Lorentz theorem, because, or Taylor's theorem, whatever it may be. In order to apply Taylor's or Lorentz theorem, it is necessary that the function is analytic. That means the derivative of the function at each and every point within the region must exist. Otherwise, the function cannot be analytic. Even if you got one point at which the derivative of the function does not exist, then that function, you can't say that will be analytic in that region. So for analytic, the function must be, the derivative of the function must exist at each and every point of the region. So here in this problem, we come to know that this function is what? Analytic except at z equal to 0. Whatever point you take, except z equal to 0, at each and every point the function is analytic. So, but z equal to 0 is what? Not lying in our region. So no problem. That's okay. That means whatever is the region, Our region is what? This one. This is the region our. This is the region. So in this region, the function is what? Completely analytic. There is no problem at all. So that means we can apply the Lorentz theorem here. We can apply the Lorentz theorem. Okay, so here I have considered the region is what? Lies between what? Z greater than equal to R and Z less than is equal to R. Did you understand this? This what? Why I have written this one? Because our region is what? Our region is what? Bounded by what? This region. This is the region bounded by two circles C1 and C2. And in Lorentz theorem, the function is the analytic what? Inside and on the boundary. So there are two boundaries. This is one boundary and this is the another boundary. So that's why I have taken the value of Z should be greater than is equal to R. Greater than equal to R means it will take the boundary point here of this inside circle. And if you take Z value is what? Less than is equal to R, then it will also take the boundary point and inside these values and all other values lesser than capital R. Okay. So Fz can be expanded by Lorentz expansion. That's okay because the function is analytic in the region. So this Fz can be expanded by the what? Lorentz expansion. So this is your Fz. Fz equal to what? Summation n equal to 0 to infinity an Z minus a is 0. So Z to the power n plus summation n equal to 1 to infinity a suffix minus n Z minus a, and a is what? 0. So Z to the power minus n. So this is. Now what is an here? What is an? If you see the expression for that one, if you see the expression for an, what is the expression for n? Now see here. You can write here Z also, no problem at all. F of Z also you can write, no problem at all. So an equal to what? 1 upon twice pi I integration over the circle C1, that means outer circle, f of Z by Z minus a to the power n plus 1 dz. And n a minus n is what? 1 upon twice pi integration over what? The inner circle, that means circle C2, inner circle, fz by Z minus a to the power minus n plus 1 dz, n equal to 1 plus 2, 1, 2, 3. So just you find a and an and a minus n, you will get the desired result. You will get the expansion. So let us try to find here an and a minus n. Okay, let's see here. So what is an? An will be 1 upon twice pi I. Sorry, this will be the capital C1 and this will be capital C2 over the circle C2. Okay, this will be C1 and this will be C2. So 1 upon twice pi integration. What is f of Z by Z minus a to the power n plus 1? Just in the formula, I am just substituting it. So fz is this one, fz is this one, and this is Z minus a is what? 0. So Z to the power n plus 1 dz. And then a minus n is what? 1 upon twice pi a integration over C2 sine of fz by Z minus a to the power n minus n plus 1. So a is what? 0. So Z to the power minus n plus 1 dz. So now here you can write here either C. If you write C only, then it's also okay. Then what is the circle C? What is C? C being any circle in the annulus region with the center at what? With the center at origin. So that means this is the circle your C2. This is the circle C2, and this is your circle what? C1. This is your C2, and this is what your, sorry, this is C1. This is C1, and say this is C2. So we are taking the circle C as what? We are taking the circle C being any circle in the annulus region. That means in the region. This is the region. This is our region. This is our region bounded by the two circles. So we are taking any circle. This C means if you, because at each and every point it's not possible to check it. So what? If you take any circle inside the region, and if it is valid for that circle, that means it is valid for all circle within in the annulus region. So just say I am taking this circle. Sorry. Uh, Say I am taking this circle. This is another circle in the in the in the given region, in the require in our region. So I'm taking this circle. So you can take that one, no problem at all. Or you can say C1 or C2 also you can write, no problem at all. So, so for convenience, we take the radius of C as unity. So what we'll do here? So here, uh, for our convenience, whatever the circle C we have taken within our region, the radius of that circle we are considering as what? Unity. That means 1. You can take anything also, but for the sake of simplicity of the problem, we are taking the radius is what? Unity. So uh, if a circle has a radius what? This is the center. Center is origin here. If radius is 1 unit, then this is the expression. This is the equation of the circle, because mod z equal to a 1. That means that implies what? This represents the equation of a circle in complex form. This represents what? Because if you find the modulus, already have explained this in the last class also. What is the modulus? The square root of x square plus what? Y square equal to 1. And if you square both sides, so you will get a what? You will get a circle. You will get a what? Circle with center at what? Origin. And the radius as what? 1. So your center is what? What is the center here? Center is origin and radius is 1. So this will nothing but represent a what? Circle. And if you want to write in polar coordinate, so this will be what? Z is equal to e to the power I theta. Already I have explained how to convert a a Cartesian system into polar system, polar coordinate, Cartesian coordinate into polar coordinate. So if you use the conversion, so then you'll get z equal to e to the power I theta, and the value of theta lies between what? Lies between 0 and 2 pi. Because this whole circle, the area is what? The whole circle, that is what? The angle is what? Twice pi. So that will be what? Theta lies between what? From 0 to what? From 0 to 2 pi. And dz equal to what? I to the power I theta d theta. If you differentiate, so you will get this one. Now come to calculate this an. What is an? An is what? 1 upon twice pi I. And this integration is what? Over the circle C. And C. And for this, the theta varies from where? From 0 to 2 pi. So that's why theta varies from what? 0 to 2 pi fz. And fz is what? Sine of what? C into z plus 1 upon z. This was the expression for what? Fz. Is it not? So now we are substituting here. So this is Fz. This is your Fz. Fz means what? Sine of C into what? Z. Z means what? E to the power I theta. And 1 upon Z means what? E to the power minus I theta. Because 1 upon e to the power I theta is what? E to the power minus I theta. This one. Into what? Denominator is what? Z to the power n plus 1. Denominator is what? Z to the power what? N plus 1. So Z is what? Denominator is what? Z is what? E to the power I theta. So e to the power I n plus 1 theta. Z to the power n plus 1, no? And then dz equal to what? Dz is equal to, already I have calculated, I e to the power I theta. I e to the power I theta. So just we have substituted here. Now you need to integrate this one. And after integration, whatever the result you will get, that will be the what? That will be our required result. So see here, the integration I have did here. So you can easily do that one. Now see here, e to the power I theta plus e to the power minus I theta is equal to what? Twice cos theta. So c is there, so twice c cos theta. Why this one? Because e to the power I theta is equal to what? Cos theta plus I sin theta. And e to the power minus I theta is what? Cos theta minus I sin theta. So if you add these two, you will get twice cos theta. So that's why I have written twice cos theta. And here just I have e to the power I theta, I have cancel out from this. And this I and this I is cancel out. And this e to the power I n plus 1 theta, if you take in the numerator, so it becomes minus. And if you add this one, so e to the power minus I n theta you will get this one. Is that clear? Now e to the power minus I n theta, and that is nothing but equal to what? Cos of n theta minus minus I minus I sine of what? Sine of n theta. Okay, you will get this expression for this one. So what? So what I'm going to separate into two terms, two integrals. I'm going to separate into what? Two integrals. So first, sines of twice c cos theta into cos n theta d theta. This is the first integral. And second integral is what? This into this one. So minus I and 1 upon twice pi. So minus I upon twice pi, 0 to 2 pi, sine of twice c cos theta into what? Into sine of n theta d theta. So I have divided into two different integrals. Now here just see. 1 upon twice pi, 0 to 2 pi. This is same. No change here as it is. Now here, what is f theta here? So what I have done, I have considered this one. This one is equal to what? F theta. Okay, this whole part, this integrand part, I have considered as f theta. So f theta equal to what? Sine of twice c cos theta into sine of n theta. Now f theta is this one. Now you just try to find what is f of 2 pi minus theta. Okay, 2 pi minus theta. Okay, so cos of 2 pi minus theta, that will be the same thing. That will be cos theta itself. Or what? Did you know or not this one? Just a minute. This is 0. This is what? Pi by 2. This is what? Pi. And this is what? 3 pi by 2. And this is what? 2 pi. This is what? 2 pi again. So that's why whole angle is what? 360. Now 2 pi minus theta, in which quadrant it lies? It lies in the fourth quadrant. And in fourth quadrant, cos is what? Positive or negative? Cos is positive. Okay, so that's why cos of 2 pi minus theta is what? Cos theta. Here. And sine of 2 pi minus theta in the fourth quadrant, sine is what? Negative. Sine of 2 pi minus theta is what? Minus sine theta. Sine n theta actually. So minus. Just a minute. Here it will not be theta. Okay, this will not be. This will be sine of twice c cos theta. Okay, this will not be theta. So just you correct it. Okay, this will not be theta. The theta by mistake I have written. So this will not be theta. So what you are getting? Sine of twice c cos theta sine theta, and that is equal to what? That is equal to what? F theta. That is equal to what? F theta. So you are getting what? Minus f theta. So you are getting what? Minus f theta. So if you remember the problem, so f of 2 pi minus theta is equal to what? Minus f theta. That means what? It is an. So if you remember this result, you have got in high secondary second year, the definite integral properties. 0 to twice a f of x dx is equal to 2 times of integration 0 to a f of x dx. If f of twice a minus x is equal to f of x, and 0 if f of twice a minus x equal to what? minus f of x. So in that case, so f theta, if you are putting 2 pi minus theta, so you are getting what? Minus f theta. So this value will be what? The value of this integration will be what? The value of this integration will be 0 using this result. Is that clear? Now left what?
Yes, sir.
Left what? This part. So we'll calculate this part. So that's why the second will be 0. And so an is equal to what you are getting? An is equal to, you are getting what? 1 upon twice pi 0 to 2 pi sine of 2c cos theta into cos n theta d theta. So you have got an. Now you need to calculate a minus n. Okay. So in a similar fashion, just I have substituted here, and just you in a similar fashion we have did, and then we have got a minus n. We have got a minus n here. So see here, this thing you need to prove, no? This thing in your problem you need to prove that one. So see here, this is, where is that one? Yeah, and both z to the power n and z to the power their coefficient. That means an and a minus n is of what form? It is of the form 1 upon twice pi integration 0 to 2 pi sine of this. So that already you have got. So in this way we need to use this Taylor's or Lorentz theorem, depends on the problem. Okay. Okay, so as we have discussed about the Lorentz theorem, so how we use the Lorentz theorem? So see here, this is the same, again the same type of the problem. Okay, here. So just you try. I have already solved and explained here. Just you go through this problem. Your cos hyperbolic term is there. Cos hyperbolic of z plus z minus 1, z to the power minus 1 means 1 upon z, that is. So just I've already explained, just you go through that one. If you have understand the first problem, so this problem you can easily do that one. Okay, so I have already done here, and in details, not even a single step I have missed it here. So I have done. So if you know the integration, then it's okay. There will be no problem at all. But if you have any problem in the integration, then it will be somewhat difficult. So that is this is also of same kind, the same problem, that is over the Lorentz. So you can do that one also. And this is also of this is also using Lorentz also. You need to expand that one. So just you try it if you want to understand. So I will explain, but before that, you must try it first. If you have understand the first problem, what I will explain that one. Okay. So these are now the next part is your how to expand a given function using Taylor's theorem. Okay. So now I am going to discuss that one. Now see here, what is that one? Expand 1 upon z into z square minus 3z plus 2 for the region. So there are different regions. One region is what? Strictly lies between 0 and 1. Other region is what? Lies between 1 and 2. And the another region is what? Is greater than 2, whatever is the values. Okay, so what I'll do here, fz equal to 1 upon z into this one. So this I'll using middle term factor, z square minus 3z plus 2. If you take the middle term factor, so what you will get? Z minus 1 into z minus 2. You will get what? You will get what? Z minus 1 into z minus 2. Okay, simple one. So and then using the partial fraction, you will get fz equal to what? 1 upon twice z minus 1 upon z minus 1 minus 1 upon z minus 2 using partial fraction. Simple. Now the first region is what? Mod z lies between 0 and 1. The first problem is what? The first region is what? Mod z lies between 0 and 1. Now see here, the value of mod z, that means the absolute value of mod z, strictly lies between 0 and 1. Now tell me, this fraction will also exist, because this fraction will not exist when this 1 upon twice z will not exist only when if z equal to 0. So we are not taking z equal to 0 here, because the value of this mod z will be what? Greater than 0, strictly greater than 0. So this will exist, and this will when this will not exist if z is equal to 1. If z equal to what? 1. So this becomes 0. So 1 upon 0, that becomes infinity. So for z equal to 1, this will not exist. But we are taking what? We are taking the value of mod z is what? Strictly less than 1. So obviously this will also exist. Then here just see 1 upon 2 into z minus 2. So this value will not exist when? When the value of this fraction will not exist when? When z is equal to what? 2. But we are taking the value is what? Mod z is what? Strictly less than 1. So this all in this region, this all three fractions will exist. There is no problem. So what? So 1 upon twice z, this and what I have taken minus, I have taken common. So this will be what? Minus become plus. This will become 1 upon 1 minus z. Now here again, this minus 2 I am taking common. So this becomes minus 1 upon 4. What? 1 minus z by 2. So try to make this is what? 1 minus or form always. If it is plus, then it will be what? Obviously, you try to write 1 plus or minus, and then the rest function is will be there. You try to write in that form. Okay? Then. So this expansion, obviously, you know, simple expansion, binomial expansion, that is 1 minus z to the power minus 1. So what? 1 plus z square plus z cube dot like this. And this is what? Minus 1 upon or 1 upon 4. And 1 minus z by 2 to the power minus 1. So this is the expansion. It's simple expansion. So then, if you add the similar terms here, so 1 upon twice z is nowhere there. So 1 upon twice z plus there is 1 minus 1 upon 4. Just you similar term, just you add and subtract, and then you write. So you will get this expression. You will get what? You will get this expression. So this is the expansion of the function fz in the region where what? In the region lies between mod 0 and in the region lies between what? 0 and 1. Next region is what? Next which region? Next region is mod z lies between 1 and 2. Strictly lies between 1 and 2. Okay, now tell me, if your function is what? If the value of mod z is strictly lies between 1 and 2. The value of mod z is what? Strictly greater than 1 and strictly less than 2. So in that case, this will obviously exist. This will exist or not? This will obviously exist, because this fraction will not exist if z is equal to 1. But we are not taking the region that contains z equal to 1. We are taking the value of mod z is what? Strictly greater than 1. So 1 upon z minus 1 absolutely exists. Then here this 1 upon 2 into z minus 2, this will absolutely exist. Why? Because this will not exist if z equal to 2. But we are taking the value of z is what? Strictly less than 2. So this will also exist. That means we can do the expansion of that one. The same concept is same. So here just see what I have did here. So mod z is what? Greater than here. If you divide into two parts, so one is what? Mod z is strictly greater than 1, another is 1. Mod z is what? Strictly less than 2. So mod z is greater than strictly greater than 1. That means 1 upon mod z is what? Strictly less than 1. And mod z by 2 is strictly less than 1. Simple. Just I have reversed it. This mod z is greater than 1. If you reverse, so 1 upon mod z will be less than is equal to 1. Now fz is equal to what? 1 upon twice z. And here it is what? 1 upon, that was what? 1 upon 1 minus z, 1 upon 1 minus z minus minus 1 upon z minus 1 plus 1 upon 2z minus 2. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write it in the form of what? 1 upon, I'm taking z common, minus z common. So it will be minus sorry, z minus 1. Okay, just simply I'm taking z common. So because z minus 1, so it will be 1 z into 1 minus 1 upon z. And then minus 1 upon 4. Here it is what? Z minus 2 is there, no? Z minus 2. So I am taking what common here? I am taking minus 2 common here. Z minus 2, yeah, minus 2. So this will be 1 upon 4, 1 upon 1 minus z by 2. Now see here. Why I have done like this here? Why I have taken z common from here? Because now see here. This value 1 upon mod z is what? Is less than 1. So 1 minus less than 1, the value will be what? Obviously it will exist, it will not be 0. And here it will mod z by 2. This is what? Z by 2. Its value is what? Strictly less than 1. So this value will also exist. So now you can use the binomial expansion here. Okay, but if it was like this, if it was z minus 1, it was there, no? The second expression, second one. But if you write like this only, so what? The value of mod z is what? Is strictly greater than 1. No problem. Mod z is strictly greater than 1. So this is minus 1. Is greater than 1 minus 1. That will be also positive. No problem at all. But this value will what? This value will not lies between 0 and 1. Lies, but some value does not lies between 0 and 1. But here now see here, this value is always lies between what? 0 and 1. This value is always lies between 0 and 1. So that's why I have did 1 upon mod z here. So now simple expansion using binomial expansion, simple expansion, and then the same one, the similar types, similar terms we'll write together, and this is the expansion of that one. This is the expansion. So this is the required expansion. Next condition was mod z is greater than, strictly greater than 2. This time mod z is what? Strictly greater than 2. Okay, so mod z is greater than 2 means 2 upon mod z is what? Less than 1. And then what? Here I have it. Here z common. Here also twice z is common, minus twice z is common. So you have got this expression. And then you expand it and then you write. So now this is the expression. Now this next problem is what? Next problem is what? Expand fz is equal to 1 upon z plus 1 into z plus 3 in a Lorentz theorem valid for the region. In which region it is valid? You decide and then you expand using Lorentz theorem. You see here, I have done here in a similar fashion, whatever I have done in a similar fashion. Just see, just to go through that one. You'll understand that one. Okay, I have done here in a similar fashion what I have did here in the first problem. Just you go through that one. And then you go through these all problems. There's many problems I have done here. You go through that all. Let me explain this problem. Okay, Taylor's expansion, no, this one. Now see here. This is the function. Let me explain this one. For the function fz is equal to what? This one. Find a Lawrence already explained. I'm just explaining the Taylor's part. A Taylor series valid in the neighborhood of the point what z is equal to y. Neighborhood in the point what z equal to y. In the neighborhood of the z equal to y, you need to find out the Taylor series expansion of this one. So let's see here. What is that? Fz is given there. So what I have did first, I have simplified it. And then using partial fraction, I have written like this. 2 into z minus 1 plus 1 upon z plus 1 plus 1 upon z. This is simple. So what I'm going to take, I'm going to take this is as z. I'm just giving some name. Okay, I'm giving some name. I'm giving its name as zz. This one as h of z, and this is as phi of z. So there are three terms. So I have considered three function here. Just simple. The next. So fz equal to what? Gz plus hz plus phi z. Now Taylor's expansion. At which point? In the neighborhood of the point z equal to I. So the Taylor's expansion of gz, just for each and every expression you find out the Taylor series expansion. So that you will get the Taylor series expansion for what? Fz. So gz, that is what? N equal to 0 to infinity, that is an z minus I whole to the power n, where n equal to what? What is an? An is for what? What was the Taylor series expansion? N is equal to 0 to infinity n sorry, nth derivative of z at z equal to a upon factorial n into what? Z minus a whole to the power what? N. This was the Taylor series expansion, if you remember. So I have given its name as what? An. A suffix n. Coefficient, that is. I have given its name as what? An. Here. I have given name as what? An. Okay. So that is an is equal to what? Since the function is gz, so g n of I, because at which point we are finding? At the point z equal to I upon factorial n. So just to go on finding gz, z dash z, just go on finding. So if you find gz equal to what is your function? Gz equal to what? 2 into z minus 1. So its first, so its derivative will exist up to first order, and all higher order derivative will become 0, because up to first order derivative will becomes constant, and all higher order derivative becomes 0. So gz is this one. So g dash z is what? 2z minus 2, twice. G dash z is what? 2, and all higher derivative will be what? 0. So g dash I equal to what? Twice. So a naught equal to what? So an, this an you need to calculate, no? This an, that means the value of this one. So you will get what here? A naught, n equal to 0, a naught equal to what? G of I upon factorial n. Factorial n means what? G factorial 0. Factorial 0 is what? 1. And g0 is what? Just to calculate g of I. G of I is what? 2 into z minus I. What have you? This one, g of I. G of I means what? In place of z you put I. So it will be what? 2 into I minus 1. The next n is equal to 1. A1. A1 is what? A1 means g dash, this one here. F dash at z equal to a by factorial what? Factorial 1 z minus a whole to the power what? 1. So g dash at I, z equal to I. Factorial 1 is what? 1. So g dash I upon factorial 1. And this is what? There is z minus I. Z minus I whole to the power what? Sorry. This is what? Z minus I whole to the power what? 1. So now see here. So I'm not going, I'm just going to calculate this one only. So A1 is what? G dash I upon factorial 1 is equal to what? And G dash I equal to what? How much? 2. and all other, because all other derivative, uh, second and all higher order derivative become 0. So there will be no terms, no term will come. So gz equal to what? This is a naught plus a1 z minus I plus a2 z minus I whole square plus a3 z minus I whole cube plus dot dot dot. But this, there will be no a2, there will be no a3, there will be no a4. So uh, after this, all term will be 0. So there will be what? Only these two terms. Only these two terms. So just you put their values already have calculated. So you got the Taylor series expansion for what? You got the Taylor series expansion for GZ. Similarly, you need to calculate the Taylor series expansion for HZ, the second. So that is what? 1 upon 1 plus Z. So just I have calculated. So hz equal to what? N equal to 0 to infinity an z minus I to whole to the power n. And an is equal to what? That will be hn. That means nth order derivative of h at z equal to y upon factorial n. So you go on calculating hz, h dash z, first order derivative, second order, third order, fourth order, and nth order. So all the derivative of this will be there. All the derivative of hz. Okay, and similarly you go on calculating this an. So since you got the nth order derivative here, just I have formulated it. Nth order derivative you have got, and then an equal to what? Minus 1 to the power n. It's simple. An is equal to what here? Nth order derivative of h at z equal to I factorial n. So simple. In nth order derivative here simply put z equal to I. You will get this expansion. So expansion of hz in terms of what? Using Taylor series is this one. Okay. Similarly, you calculate the Taylor series expansion for what? Phi z. Phi z is what? 1 upon z. That is of same kind. That is of what? That is of what? Same kind. That is of what? Same kind. Just to go on. So its another derivative also exists, and so an, and that is your what? Phi z. The expression for what? Phi z. The expression for phi z using Taylor series what? This one. So now see, you have got the Taylor series expansion for what? Hz, Gz, Hz, and phi z. And your equation one that we have considered, Fz equal to what? Fz equal to Gz plus Hz plus what? Phi z. If you remember. So this one, Fz equal to what? Gz plus Hz plus phi z. So just to substitute all the expansion here, and that will give us the what? Taylor series expansion for what? Fz. So like this. So whenever if you have a problem is given, that problem, if you need to use the Taylor series expansion, you need to convert. You need to write in this partial fraction term, and then you need to apply that one. Okay. So there are many problems. You go through all the problems. If you find any difficulty, so you ask me in the next class. I'll discuss that one. But before that, you go through all the problems. Only few things left in your syllabus. So we'll cover in the next class.